Thank you, Esther. Prof, I'd like to follow up on the question of Africanization. Did Professor Manaka get to be university librarian because of the Africanization policy that took up after Basa had engaged on it?
Yes, yes. I think we felt very strongly that Professor Manaka, I think Professor Manaka even formally was better qualified than Mr. Botma, and also far more efficient than Mr. Botma. And we for years expressed our concern about that discrepancy. I'm sure his promotion was facilitated by the movement on campus on organization. But I must go on to say that I think even on his own merits, he was very, very proficient as a person. Very, very, very articulate, very, very fluent. And we were always amazed by his sense of detail. You talked to Professor Manaka about his discipline. You're immediately impressed by his sense of detail, his tremendous memory. And yet the Botma was an inarticulate technician, very inarticulate, inaccessible, almost dodgy in the way he moved about. So it was one clear case of injustice there, and we're happy when Professor Manaka became the university librarian.
Thank you, Prof.
Of South Africa, called Professor de Vliejover, who wrote copious erudite notes in a journal called Musayon, And my first contact with Professor Manaka was in the context of de Vliejover, because I did school librarianship under Professor Manaka myself. And I loved the subject very, very much in 1965, I think, when I did UED. And that's when I developed this closeness with Professor Manaka. Very, very brilliant Belgian. I don't know where he is now. Yeah. Arrival there.
Professor Nkondo, after our previous discussion before the Manaka one, it made me interested in your viewpoint on Africanization, African Renaissance, which is a term going around today. What do you say to the African Renaissance?
Oh, what a tall order. I think it's a very, very happy transition from President Mandela to Deputy President Thabo Mbeki. That President Mandela was there to present, to provide a platform, an atmosphere for healing, for reconciliation, for forgiveness. I think, and he has done a tremendous job, I think, in that area to lessen the pain of memory and to try to purge hurts, agonies of all sorts. I think the country needed that. The country needed to forget, and to forget in a disciplined way, and to forgive also. The country needed to relive the past, to the TRC, to be able to face the magnitude of our pain and the injustice in the country. I think we need to do that. And we needed also to come up with a constitutional arrangement that will make it easy for us to overcome our past and introduce a new order. I think from Mandela, I'm sure nobody's perfect, but I think he's done a good job. And it's remarkable that the deputy president has taken off now and is more future-oriented. You see, the old man tends to be nostalgic, going to the past. Thambeki is future-oriented. I think that's where the Afghan Renaissance is. What does it mean to be future-oriented in our context?
Mm.
You have to assess the condition of Africa now and the condition of Africa in the past as a country that once had contributed tremendously to knowledge, to science, to the arts. It contributed tremendously in this dinner. Bales and bales of information on the African contribution to knowledge in the world. And yet all that is either suppressed or trivialized, as if Africa has never made a major contribution to civilization.
Mm.
We know for certain now that Africa was the origin of university education. We know that now. We know now that even what is called philosophy now started in Africa, University of Alexandria, other universities in the world. So what today the West calls knowledge, science, and philosophy, we also know that even the Christian religion has origin in certain parts of Africa. So what today constitutes civilization, science, philosophy, religion, the arts, really at a basis in Africa, or Africa had a major role to play in those four major human activities. In Africa today, it's a dark continent, it's a third world, it's even a fourth world. You see?
Mm.
And we are saying that let us recover the preeminence of Africa. Let us re-acknowledge its role in the making of civilizations. We say let us re-acknowledge in so many ways. So that we get rid of this stereotype, of this image that has been going the rounds. And we also recover our sense of worth, our sense of self-respect as a people. I think that's what Afghan Renaissance is. But we are saying much more than that. We are saying that Africa, in spite of that, has a capacity now to play a major role also in the family of nations. We're not just saying we used to, in the kind of atavistic way, nostalgia, we're also kind of backward look. We are saying that Africa now has a capacity to play a major role in science, in philosophy, in the arts, even in the political and economic systems of the world. We have a major role to play. So when the white papers talk about our competitiveness, it's because they acknowledge our capacity to compete in the global market, the global economy. I think that's what yesterday, I just came back this morning from Heidelberg, where I spent about an hour and a half with Premier Posa. And we talked about this also. He has done a lot, he published a lot of articles. There's an article now in Tribute on Afghan Renaissance. Beyond the nostalgia about African origins, beyond the nostalgia about the African past, we should not talk about the African capacity to play a major role in modern politics. And that's why we have to, that's why education is very, very important. For Africa to play a major role today, to play its part, not as a consumer, but as a producer. Because just now we are consumers. We must, a certain quality education is important. we must begin to offer quality education that is directed not just to ideas, but to improving the material conditions of our life. You see, because historically our education stimulated ideas, thinking, which had no bearing on the material conditions of our life. Our education system has begun to say ideas only matter insofar as they impact on the way we live and how we live. Africa has a capacity to play that role. You see, I think it's important to make that statement. It is important, therefore, to come up with a proper education system. It is important now to look at the budget, the allocation of resources in the country. That's an important. That's what the problem is now. How we are allocating resources in such a way that the Africans who have been, disadvantaged for years, can now be, empowered, can be equipped with the capacity to make the fullest use of themselves and their resources. For a number of reasons, we were never given the opportunity to make the fullest use of us. If we were given the opportunity to make the fullest use, some of, Toko might be a physicist now, you might be an engineer, but we're never given the scope to make the fullest use of ourselves and of our environment. Afghanistan says, let us provide programs. Let's come up with policies in labor, in agriculture, in health, that will exploit, make maximum use of our potential as Africans. I think that's what we are saying, and I support that. I am not keen on the rhetoric of our Renaissance. I'm not very keen. I'm too old now for that. I'm saying, after Renaissance, where do we start, Professor Bengo? How much money are you going to give the University of the North tomorrow, next year, to make sure there are more science students do this? How much money are you going to give to the University of Venda, to Forte? I go to Titomboweni, I say, let us look at your labor policies. How are you empowering the ordinary worker? I'm interested in concrete programs on the ground that will, release the energies of Africans. So the Afghanistan is a very concrete thing. It's a very, very, very concrete. It has to do with. I'm not interested in abstract discussions about gay, whether gay is a reverse gay or is a quasi-Marxist document. I think Jeremy McConnell can do that. I think he can do that. I'm more interested in, if you say gay, it can give us this capacity. Can you improve the roads in Mankweng? Why are the roads in Mankweng chronically decapitated? Next to one of the biggest universities in this country, a university that has produced one of the best leaders in this country, and yet Mankweng is a decrepit township. Is GAY capable of cleaning up Mankweng? You see, I want to move at that level. I want to move at that level. I want them to say to me that here at the University of Venda, you have 6,000 students this year. You can only accommodate 1,000 students in the dorms. Can you, by the end of next year, make it possible that we accommodate at least 50% of our students, so that poor students don't have to walk 20 kilometers every day? By the time the student comes to class, he's tired, he's irritable, he's all sorts of things, and any demagogue who can incite her. I want you to build me a student village so that everybody stays here and they're comfortable. Can GAY, don't tell me about GAY as a Marxist document or